Part 2. Now, how old are the fossils? Are the fossils proven to be very old? Well, let's look at how the ages of fossils are measured. Fossil age is simply determined by the age of the layer of rock, or the strata, that it is found in. So how is the age of the strata determined? By the age of the fossils that are found in that layer. But aren't the ages of the rocks determined by the age of the fossils? Well, that's correct. And so it keeps on going. In fact, it forms a nice little circle. And that's why this is called circular reasoning. The methods that they used to measure the rocks themselves, and I'm not talking about fossils here, but actually the rocks themselves, have also been shown to be extremely, extremely inaccurate, and by literally millions of percentages. So there's really no way to, number one, measure the age of the fossils, and there's no accurate way whatsoever to measure the age of the rocks themselves. Even though, of course, we were told that in the past. So there's simply no way to measure any fossil unless it has carbon-14 in it. But then it is much younger than the millions of years old, because carbon-14 all dissipates or is gone within just a few thousand years. So this means that no one could tell how old any fossil is, even though we are told, of course, that fossils are millions of years old. Scientifically, there is no way to say that. So rocks have been measured to be hundreds of thousands of years old, up to billions of years old, and are discovered to be just hundreds or thousands of years old in reality. Now we're going to look at, was there a flood? If we look at the geological column, it would appear that a huge flood would explain the mixture of the layers and the mixing of the fossils throughout the different layers much better than the slow process of evolution. A flood would leave a general order of heavier and less mobile creatures being on the lower layers, along with, of course, the sea creatures, with the lighter and more mobile creatures higher up. Well, there are enormous amounts of evidence to support the idea that there was a worldwide flood in the past. The best piece of evidence to support this idea is the vast amount of marine fossils that are in every continent in the world and in the very highest mountain ranges in the world. So some of these are literally found miles up on mountains. The idea of a worldwide flood was well accepted until just a few decades ago. It appears that the evidence is causing a huge resurgence of this idea, however. But because of the nature of a gigantic flood, mixture would be somewhat common. And that is indeed the case. The mixture, that is, fossils being in the wrong order, so to speak, is very, very common. In fact, some of the layers are completely reversed. As I mentioned earlier, some of the younger are below the older and vice versa. It now appears that the belief in a worldwide flood is backed up by science much better than what we have been told for many decades, and that the Earth is also much younger than we have been told. Now, if this is the case, then it would make sense that dinosaurs and humans have lived together up until just recently, or maybe they still do in some cases. So rather than humans living with dinosaurs in ages past, is it possible that dinosaurs have lived with us in very recent history? Well, let's take a look. If we take a look at history, we will discover numerous accounts of man dealing with what are called dragons. Well, today these creatures are called dinosaurs. Both simply refer to large reptiles. So if we go back into the historical accounts, such as the book of Job in the Old Testament, there is a perfect description of a brontosaurus-like creature. Accounts of knights killing dragons, again, that's the same word, means the same word that dinosaur means, and very large beasts are not uncommon in the Middle Ages. There are even some pictures of these encounters drawn by artists. Now, these artist renditions of these beasts look like dinosaurs that have been discovered recently. So the question arises, why have the dinosaurs disappeared if they have lived with humans up until the last few hundred years? Well, the answer is twofold. Number one, as previously mentioned, humans have killed many of them. Number two, lungs of these creatures are generally very small. It has been shown by science that the atmospheric pressure was considerably higher in the past. The concentration of oxygen was also greater. So, as this changed to the atmosphere that we have today, dinosaurs in general would have a much more difficult time getting the amount of air needed to live. And the guesses by scientists is that it could be that dinosaurs today would get about a third of the oxygen that they had back, in times past, thousands of years ago. Well, does this mean that there are no dinosaurs left alive on Earth today? Well, not necessarily. Now, it's no secret that crocodiles and alligators are, quote, leftovers from the dinosaur age. They are virtually the same, except possibly for size. They're smaller today. But there have been literally thousands of sightings of dinosaur-like water creatures in many lakes around the world, including, yes, the Loch Ness Monster. Well, there's another dinosaur that has been reported by those that live in the Congo. It's called Mokele Mbembe. The meaning is one who stops the flow of rivers. Now, this dinosaur has been sighted numerous times in the Lokola swamp region of the Congo. The dinosaur is consistently described by the natives to look like a sauropod type dinosaur. Now, there have been a number of sightings of dinosaurs over the last 1.5 centuries. Carl Baugh, in his book Against All Odds, shows a number of pictures of artifacts that have pictures of dragons, dinosaurs, that type of thing on them. These artifacts were made 1,300 years ago. And incidentally, later on in the course that we'll be offering later on, I'm going to have videos available that will have experts on that actually have many artifacts that are over 1,000 years old, some of them close to 2,000 years old, that have the pictures of dinosaurs on them. Well, out of all of the 1,100 Inca burial stones discovered over the last few decades, that is since the 1930s, almost 1/3 of them have historically accurate images of dinosaurs. These include Triceratops, Stegosaurus, and Pterosaurus. The other burial stones seem to depict other real-life experiences of the Incas. So these stones were made hundreds of years before modern man even knew about the dinosaurs. And again, I've just mentioned just a few of these. Some of the experts that really have spent decades studying this have many more of these types of artifacts that will show that, they basically have pictures of dinosaurs on them. Some of them fighting men, some of them men killing the dinosaurs and that type of thing. Now, the Grand Canyon has had drawings of what looks like a dinosaur. Stories of confrontations with dragons are numerous in ancient China and in the Far East. Now, soft tissue has been discovered in dinosaur fossils. But why is this significant? Because scientists have generally agreed that soft tissue can exist for a few thousand years, but not millions. That would mean that these dinosaur fossils cannot be tens of millions of years old, as we have been told. They were supposed to be 65 million years old. In other words, this is proof that the dinosaurs have been in existence just a fraction of 1% of the time that evolutionists have told us. Now, the study of this soft tissue found in a bone of the T-Rex was harshly criticized by many evolutionary scientists. Some of them said that the study by biologist Mary Schweitzer had compromised the specimens used. They proclaimed that the soft tissue could have been from bacteria or biofilms. Well, she later did another study on the soft tissue of another dinosaur fossil, that is a duckbill dinosaur called a hadrosaur. She took great care to handle everything in such a way so that it could never be said that anything had been contaminated. The results were staggering. Here is what she found: collagen, elastin, laminin. And she'd found structures incredibly resembling cells of both blood and bone. None of them had been fossilized. A carbon-14 tests have been applied to 4 separate dinosaurs. This method of testing limits the age to thousands of years, and it has to be well under 100,000 years. Otherwise, again, there's no carbon-14 left after that amount of time. But this is just a small fraction, again, a tiny fraction of 1% of the 65 million years that are given to the age of dinosaurs. These results of the tests of the dinosaur bones show that these dinosaurs lived just thousands of years ago, not tens of millions. The evidence seems to be overwhelming. Numerous drawings of dinosaurs dating back hundreds of years. Numerous references to dinosaurs, called dragons at that time, through much of history. Abundant human fossil footprints that have been found in many locations that were in layers, quote, of dinosaur age. Fossil human footprints that have crossed dinosaur footprints. Human artifacts in every layer of rock, including those, quote, that dinosaurs lived in. Soft tissue discovered in dinosaur fossils. And of course, the carbon-14 tests that have shown that dinosaurs are just thousands of years old, not tens of millions. So have humans and dinosaurs lived together? Well, if you summarize these all together, combine them, make them into a small list, you have history, fossils, carvings, drawings, carbon-14 tests, and even recent sightings, which tend to give overwhelming evidence that these giant creatures may even still exist, or have at least been living on Earth during the last few centuries.